like boils like popping on his face while this is going on. I mean, it's that realistic. And, you know, again, this guy fucking deserved it. So there's kind of a bit of you that's like, hell yeah. Well, most of you that's like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
And the camp owner, he's your typical guy that's like running a business. He's trying to fucking sweep it under the rug. And he pays off the rest of the kitchen staff, including black guy, to, oh yeah, there is a black guy. He's a cook. What do you know?
Oh, yeah, go figure.
But there's no black campers, I don't think. So, oh yeah, this dude's like straight out of like the 20s or 30s, you know, what we were talking about with the New Day. This guy is like completely just, ain't nobody in here but us chickens. So anyway, this dude, you know, he pays off everybody to keep quiet, all the cooks, you know, to shut up. So basically, he offers them like $15 more a week, which I guess was a decent raise at the time because, you know, Artie, they tell the other campers that Artie left for another job, and so I guess that's the end of old Artie for now. Well, for the rest of the movie anyway. And the next day, we got Ricky, Paul, and the rest of the boys in their cabin, and they got this geek named Mozart. And they're playing baseball with Kenny, Mike, Billy, and the rest of the boys from another cabin. And Ricky wins the game, and he's talking shit to the other dudes, and they're all fucking pissed off, so they're going to get back at Ricky. And I think this is during the scene where you get the part where it's like, eat shit and die, Ricky. And he's like, eat shit and live, Kenny, or whatever the hell the guy's name is. That was great. I like telling people that. So they're in the recreation cabin. Say what?
I said we did eat shit and live? I don't know if I'm talking about that.
I like telling people that. You know. I get to be a hated figure that way. So later that night, they're in the recreation cabin, and there's a dance going on, which I don't know of anything like that at a camp, but whatever. And Angela is getting harassed by Kenny and Mike. You know, they're fucking harassing her for not talking, pissing them, you know. It's pissing everybody off, really, because, you know, she's just sitting there like a fucktard, just sitting there not talking, not doing anything, just like, it's why are you here? It's like when Corey goes on trips with us, Vic. And he just sits there and doesn't talk. Yeah, and he's being Black Mo. Your boy's been eating, by the way.
What?
And he's complaining about it. Zero has been eating. Homo the dog has been eating. He's trying to throw up on me, too.
Oh.
Dude coughs just like you do.
Yeah, no.
Anyway.
Maybe he gave me his AIDS.
He gave you his AIDS?
Yeah, possibly.
Well, it happens. So, you know, they start fucking with it. These dudes start fucking with Angela, and Ricky and his friend Paul get into a fight with the boys, and several other people join in, and basically, you know, this is them getting back at Ricky, and so you have a brawl. It gets broken up by this counselor Gene, who's another Guido, and Ricky and the rest of the boys involved in the fight, you know, they leave while Paul stays behind. And he starts perving on Angela, right? He starts telling her about, you know, the stuff that he and Ricky did when they were younger. Angela, you know, she still doesn't talk, but when Paul's about to leave, she actually says goodnight to him. He gets all happy because, you know, she won't talk to anybody else because she's a deaf mute. She's Helen Keller. Helen Keller Baker. So anyway, later in the night, you got Kenny here rowing a boat with his girlfriend Leslie. And he's fucking with her because he's a dickhead. And he knows, just like from Friday the 13th Part 3, the way to get girls is to scare them and piss them off, right?
Yeah, obviously.
I mean, it seems to work for most people. So anyway, he rocks and he overturns this boat. So Leslie angrily, you know, swims away as Kenny, underneath the overturned boat, he's in there kind of by himself. And all of a sudden somebody pops up in there and he's like, oh, the other guys are going to be real happy to hear that you're here. And, you know, this leaves open a few possibilities as to who the killer is, because this is one of those kind of whodunits like Scream, I'd say, Vic. Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Definitely a better whodunit than Friday the 13th or Friday the 13th Part 5, just for the record. So anyway, this dude Kenny, he gets attacked by this person, pushed underwater. In the morning, what happens is Kenny's dead and decomposing body is found. This body looks like it's been in there a while too, doesn't it?
Do what?
And of course, this dude's body is in. I mean, it looks like it's been in there a week when they find it.
Yeah.
But it's ruled an accidental death by Mel, the camp owner or whatever again. And Ronnie and the police are both confused because it's like this dude could swim. Why, how is he just going to die in an accident? But, it's kind of weird. But, nothing really comes of it again. So you got one guy that's almost dead. You got one guy that did die. But it's still kind of being swept under the rug. Well, later that day, you've got Angela, and she wakes up she walks up to Paul, and, they start talking. And I think they're both perving on the girls playing volleyball, personally. And
yeah,
Judy's irritated about it because she didn't like chicks, you know what I mean? She likes all the dudes, which I just have to say it's a sad state of affairs that we don't get to see. I don't think we get to see her boobs, which is a shame.
It really is. We need to do.
Yeah, she's nice. Anyway, so Meg tells Angela that she either needs to participate or do nothing, which, don't fucking talk to the boys. So, because Meg and, like I said, Judy are fucking bitches together. So anyway, that night, you got Paul and Angela. They go to the rec room to watch a movie. And, they leave when the movie's over, hand in hand, and Angela starts to slowly become more friendly with them. And when they're alone, Paul tries to kiss Angela, but, she gets uptight and, she gets a bulge in her pants and, she walks back to her cabin. Did I just spoil something? My bad. Anyway, so the next day at the lake. By the way, of the corny scenes in this movie, because there are a few, no doubt about it. I mean, I've given some props to some big scenes that weren't corny, but this scene with him and her, Paul and Angela, fucking corny as hell. You can tell that the writer's not exactly the type of guy that writes love scenes for a living. So anyway, the next day at the lake, you got Paul sitting beside Angela, and she's like, she tells him that she can't get in the water. He gets up and leaves because he's kind of being gay. Anyway, and Meg shows up. Well, Meg asks Angela if she's going to swim, and Angela, of course, doesn't talk again. So Meg goes apeshit and goes shaking baby syndrome on her, starts fucking shaking Angela, and then of course Ronnie, the one of the Guido camp counselors, he pulls her away and tells her to leave Angela alone. So Angela gets rescued by this dude again, the roided up guy. Meanwhile, in the girls' cabin, you got Judy. She approaches Angela after this, and she's pissed off because Meg got into trouble because of Angela, which she should have. I mean, you can't just beat up on little kids because they don't talk. I mean, because, you're supposed to beat them up for the opposite reason, because they do talk, All right. Good to see we're on the same page, buddy. Judy starts mocking Angela again and asks her why she won't get in the shower or go swimming or change clothes with the other girls, and basically accuses her of not having her pubes yet. I was like, that's great. What a bitch. And so, Angela keeps being a deaf mute again. But it's clear at some point, she's hiding something at this, because she's weird, dude, and you can't figure out why yet. But we'll get there. So later that day, well, you just figure that it's probably because of the accident that happened, when she was a kid, so you're just assuming that she's just fucking weird over it, which is understandable. So later that day, Angela gets hit in the face with a water balloon by Billy and his friends who are on a cabin rooftop, and they're just throwing fucking water balloons at people who walk by. Well, Mel and Ricky goes apeshit on these kids. And see, Ricky is always cussing and going nuts on them, and I kind of like Ricky, to be honest with you. He's got a mouth like I did as a kid. That's how I talk to people. I knew all the cuss words. No, I did. I knew all the cuss words. So Mel reprimands the boys on the roof, and he grounds Billy for the rest of the summer. I don't even know what that means exactly, but he did. And, of course, Ricky comes to the age of Angela and tells her, kill him. what they're doing here is they're setting Ricky up as the killer. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Quit fighting, retards.
You got dogs in the background.
Yeah. Anyway, so a little while later, dogs, I'm gonna kick your asses. Fucking dumbasses. Anyways, so a little while later, they all, his friends go off to play basketball. And Billy stays behind and goes into the restroom to take a quote-unquote wicked dump. I got to take a wicked dump. I'll meet you guys there. Well, Billy's going to get his fate here because an unseen person locks him in the toilet stall. And see, this is another good kill, Vic. You get this unseen person who cuts the screen behind Billy and shakes a hive full of live bees into the room, and Billy can't get the fuck out of there, and he just keeps getting stung, and basically he gets stung to death. You see the aftermath of all the bees laying on his face. He got fucked up.
Myself personally, I don't like bees. I would have tried.
Well, I'm not scared of them, but I tell you what, if there are that many and I'm locked in a room with them, I'd be scared shitless. Yeah,
I would have tried.
It's kind of interesting that this is the only movie that I know of that at a camp that's really used bees as, a method of killing. Seems like a natural fit,
Yeah, it seems like, being at a camp, bees. I mean, I myself, I was never a camp person, but you have to assume that there's always bees and bears.
And raccoons and shit. They had to kill somebody with some raccoons in one of them. Coons. Anyway.
You can't do that.
Oh, my bad. So, when Mel, the camp owner, he learns about Billy's death, he becomes, he's starting to get pissed off because he thinks the camp's going to get shut down, and he's starting to think Ricky's the one that's responsible because he's killing people who bullied Angela. And, the relationship between Angela and Paul, they start getting a little intimate that night, and Paul starts to make out with Angela on the beach, which you get Angela, she has this flashback to when she was a kid, and her brother, when she and her brother her brother Peter witnessed their dad in bed with Lenny, two gay dudes. Yeah, I know, it was like post-Pulse. I'm not trying to make light of it, but it's just kind of a funny scene for 1983,
Yeah.
Do you remember it, Vic? All right, so Angela rejects Paul, who's trying to get him some. He doesn't even know what he's in for, and, she basically runs away. So the next day, Paul, being gender confused and angered by Angela's rejection of him, he gets seduced by Judy. And this part's so stupid because they're, like, off kissing in the woods, and Judy's like, is that so bad? He goes, I guess not. Now, come on, be honest with me. If you're some dude, are you really going to be like, oh, that was okay when you're, like, making out with this Judy chick? Come on now. So gay.
Yeah, well, gay.
So the next day, you got Paul. And like I said, he's all confused by this shit, and he ends up with Judy. And there's a game assembled by the counselor, Jeff. And in the woods, Angela and Ricky are talking about Paul, and Ricky tells Angela that, he doesn't trust him, and Angela, tells Ricky that, oh, he's just a friend that was trying to feel me up.
So you say he's just a friend? Oh, baby.
Yeah, exactly. So they walk by Paul and Judy, who are kissing in front of them, and, of course, this is another corny scene where Angela runs off. But a little later, feeling a little guilty about what happened between him and Judy and still wanting some of that Angela ass. Why, I don't know. Paul, well, maybe because he knew she was going to look good years later.
Yeah, I mean,
think that's why? He's trying to plan ahead. So anyway, Paul attempts to explain himself to Angela, why he's on the beach of the lake, but, this time she don't want to talk to him. So later that day, Paul and Angela again, he's trying to talk to Angela, and he gets shooed away by Judy and Meg, who they pick up Angela and throw her ass into the water. And after being taken out of the lake by the lifeguard Hal, and having sand flung at her by several small children because the kids are assholes. And see, this is something you have to watch repeatedly to actually notice the little kids throwing sand at her. It's like, it's so insignificant that, it's easy to be missed. But anyway, Angela is being comforted by Ricky, who, is basically still swearing that he's going to get these fuckers back. So again, they're painting the picture that it's going to be Ricky, right?